we're going through the most unprecedented time in the history of mankind, I guess. I mean, we've seen wars, but we could see the enemies. We've seen a lot of different catastrophes, nature, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. But we've always had an answer to those. We've always known how to protect us or how to get out of those. And in all honesty, they actually helped businesses thrive. I mean, there were people who came back, and there were opportunities that came out of it. This is the first time we've been put into a place where we have no ideas how to respond to it. Businesses are struggling how to get around it, and this is a really cool time for us to talk about how to not let that stop the human spirit, how to not let that stop the businesses. And Sid, I know you shared the slide today. Who led the digital transformation of your company? And and it says COVID-19. So that is really the sense of today's conversation, right? I mean, like a lot of people who were not keen or were not aware of certain technologies that are out there in the industry, in the market, like artificial intelligence, like video, with virtual streaming videos or video interviewing, and remote working. They are now adopting a lot different. A lot of them are adopting technologies that they probably wouldn't have in years to come. Right, Sid?
Yeah, yeah. So, let's first of all, thanks for kicking this off. I think I think the background of this sort of 30-minute or so webinar is to first understand, what does transformation mean? I mean, digital transformation has been a buzzword in the industry for a long time, and essentially, what the way we've seen is transformation is when you get rid of the past, when you have something new. And though it was a buzzword for a long time, but there were very few companies who actually went about doing it in the right way. Just because it's a lot of pain, it involves pain. Getting rid of your past and doing something new involves a lot of pain and discipline. And what this global event, this emergency has caused is that it has put business continuity as the key focus. No company is interested in buying a new CRM at the moment. Very few people are focused on changing their email systems at the moment. And they want business continuity. And when you say business continuity, what does that mean? It means you want to be able to serve your customers. You want to be able to make sure that you can keep recruiting, and you can keep delivering to your customers. You can sell to your customers and you can deliver to your customers. And essentially, what we did was that we we've always had this in our as part of our consulting practice. But these events have led us to develop and propagate our own seven spoke model, which sort of helps you in the wheel of digital continuity. And what we are seeing is that actually digital continuity is becoming the platform for transformation. I mean, because of continuity, people are adopting things that they were not doing earlier, and that is helping in their original mandate for digital transformation. So that's pretty much the theme of this 30-minute or so webinar. And we have sort of seven key points, Varun, and we'll sort of go through these seven key guidelines of how do you, achieve business continuity using these seven key metrics or seven key recommendations.
Awesome, Sid. So, Sid, before we go into these seven key, you did a really good build up, and going back to the slide, being in the space that you are in, the technology consulting space, and having those Fortune 500 clients and even smaller businesses, not just those Fortune 500, but those smaller businesses also that you are working with. What are the big challenges that you're seeing these guys are facing? Like what technology wise, where do you think, they're facing challenges, and, what challenges need to be bridged right now?
So, so of course, the number one right now, the number one challenge is the stay-at-home challenge. How do you run your company when your employees are at home? So your IT infrastructure is challenged. You need the ability to have your IT infrastructure move to your home. You need to be able to service your customers. You cannot For a lot of the essential businesses, they cannot afford to tell the customers that we are away. The banks have to be working, the government has to be working, the financial services, those kind of companies have to be working. The education has to keep working. The education sector, most of them, while they've closed their doors at the moment, but they still want to train remotely. So I would say it's every interaction relating to employee and customer has to be working.
Absolutely. No, that is the point I was trying to bring about, that every interaction that is related to employee and customers need to be working. And with a lot of people facing challenges, not just with people working remotely, but some people, not being able to, some people actually getting sick and not being able to do what they were doing, even if they were remote. I mean, I know you have these 7 products, and I wanted to, get into that. How do you see Zoe Chat and your customer support product and your employee engagement product with Zoe Engagement, Zoe Chat? How do you see that in this current scenario with the AI effect? How do you see that 24/7, 365 thing helping businesses in this scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe let us jump to the first one then, Varun, for the Zoe Chat,
Yeah.
slide number 4, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this slide, Varun, is focused. How do the first job, I guess, for business continuity. When you talk about business continuity, I guess the number one job of any company, any CEO, any CXO, is to make sure that the existing customers are being served, right? And that's the number one. If your existing customers are still getting served and they keep paying you, then you can at least be on the same level. You may not be growing, but you're at the same level. And we've talked about AI helping in service automation, but I think in times like these, this is more than relevant when even though your employees may not be online, your helplines are online, your call centers are automated, so that you can not only take the volume, but you can really offer them speed. So whether it's chat automation or whether it's phone automation or email automation. I mean, we of course work with some of the largest, for example, financial and educational services companies, and even in times like these, they're able to let their AI systems respond to 70% of the calls or messages that are coming through. And I think that's really relevant. If you're a bank, if you're a university, if you're a insurance company, if you are a events company, you need to keep servicing existing customers.
And
And
I think you make a
yeah.
very interesting point there, sir. Because I mean, especially in these times, right?
Hmm.
Your customers have more questions for you because they are uncertain about how they're going to get services that they were supposed to get from you. Whether you're a healthcare provider, whether you're an educational institution, the students are like, they want answers right now. They have questions. Everybody has
Yeah,
questions. Everybody is
yeah,
in unknown right now,
yeah,
and with the ability for your companies, their customers, to be able to give AI support to these people and get them instant answers to some of the most important questions that they have.
yeah.
Just yesterday, I was on a call with one of our large event clients, which is Reed. Sid. I just wanted to bring that in. And one of the biggest challenges that they're going through right now is a lot. They have a lot of events during the summer period, and a lot of these events are getting postponed, and they have these people, and they are really using the bot AI piece right now is to answer questions, because a lot of people have questions. Hey, I purchased registration for like so much. What is going to happen? Like, if this event is postponed, do I still get to use that? Are the same speakers going to be there? Am I still going to be able to retain my exhibit booth location if your floor plan changes and things like that, right? So these are, times when people have more questions for you than they ever had, and your ability to answer those questions, like you said, I think kind of really takes your company apart in that sense, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
just
yeah. I
a
mean,
quick point on that, Varun, to one of my clients, and one of the things that they mentioned as well, and maybe you can touch on this also, Sid, is just the infrastructure set up. They're a small size firm. based out of New Jersey, and one of their biggest pain points is setting up infrastructure, for their employees. Getting them all laptops because they currently work in a desktop environment, so they do have, the customer support, trying to send emails, but they just don't have the capacity from an infrastructure standpoint, and getting them set up from working from home right away. So,
Yep. No, absolutely. And I guess, again, that's where, like AI and, really can be helpful for them to at least
Yeah.
keep processes working while they're able to figure out how they get these people.
Can she go? Is she allowed to go into the office during these times? I mean, working
Yeah,
24/7.
she works 24/7. I mean, this is really, for the hundreds of our customers on the Zoe chatbot and email bot platform. We've seen, in normal times this looks like a nice to have, but right now this is becoming the front line. Whether it's your website, whether it's a WhatsApp center. I mean, there's so many of the customers who are using the automated WhatsApp bot or the Facebook Messenger bot to automate the responses and questions. So I would say that that's why this right number one, recommendation: invest in service automation, and
So,
it,
Sid,
it definitely is the core pillar.
I have another question for you, right? I mean, a lot of people listening to this right now might not have a chatbot right now, right? Might not have a bot. So a big question that comes around from their perspective is that, let's say they want to do this and they want to provide the service. How long will it take for, a bot company like yourself to be able to give them a bot that they can put on their websites and get things going and have it? I mean, because Stephen made an excellent point that people
Yeah.
don't have the infrastructure and they're trying to figure out how to get these laptops to these people. They're going to take that time to get that. Is your bot going to be faster to train before they're able to resolve these things manually? I mean, can you touch some light on that?
Some of our customers, Varun, have gone live in as less as 3 weeks. And the way it can do that is it can index your existing tickets. You can ingest your Zendesk tickets or even upload a CSV or an Excel, and it can ingest your existing tickets and your knowledge base, and it can become smarter. And it truly is AI in the sense that it becomes smarter every day. So you could actually go live in as low as 3 weeks.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, that I'm sure answers big question for people who are in the unknown right now. Is like, do I go purchase those 100 laptops and get it over to people, or do I invest in a bot that can pretty much do most of that stuff? So Sid, I know we have we have 7 points to cover, so we're going to move on to the next point, which is sales development, right? I mean, like you said, one is to keep the business at where it is, but at the same time, you still want to keep growing the business. I mean, you can't let this bog you down. You can't let this hold you back. And then, again, how does automation and AI, how are you seeing AI and automation being deployed in these times to not just help people maintain what they have, but also to grow from where they have to the next level? How are you helping people with that? And what are your ideas around that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll put it back to you to share your experience with CSI, for example. But
Yep.
really the focus is, while you're trying to make sure you service your customers, how are you pursuing your leads right now? How are you chasing your leads? How are you chasing your contacts? And the one to many way of sending out blast emails just doesn't work. That marketers know that, sales guys know that. And what we've seen is that cadence automation, and you can see a quick graph there where you reaching out to them, especially for B2B, automating the reach out and
Hmm.
having the ability to understand a response is really the key to sales or marketing automation. And what people see is that they're seeing, you know, tremendous return even by the fourth reach out, because what we see is that people stop following up after the second reach out. And in times of crisis, they even stop following up totally, right?
Hmm.
As an example, you can contact any financial institution right now and say,
Hmm.
if you want some information about the bailout package,
Hmm.
that's been put out, by the by the guys in Washington, you can not even get through. Forget about lodging a lead. And even if
Right.
you have a lead, you'll be lucky to get a response in a week or 2 weeks or 5 weeks or maybe not. So, so this has really turned the tables that even though your house is not in order, you can still have a robot making sure that your prospects are being pursued and converted to hot opportunities.
Can I use one of my examples? So one of my prospects, and then she really felt amazed and really appreciated what I've done for her. So I actually used Zoe in a sense of going to the post office on my behalf and actually mailing her. Just I hope you're okay. Whenever you get back to the office, let's chat. Because she works from a home office as a small event management planning company out of her home. And when she received that, she was like, "Wow!" I mean, she was actually upset. She was like, "You made, one of your employees go in to mail this letter for me?" I'm like, "No, Zoe, she mailed it. She didn't have to go to the post office." So it's just little things like that, especially during these times, that really helped me, just from my personal experience.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely. And
you.
Varun, any quick learnings from CSI? Like I know you
Yeah,
worked with
no,
them for a while.
absolutely, absolutely. CSI, and then even one of my current clients that is also planning to start using this to engage their students right now who
Mm.
need to be reached out to, who are sitting internationally and in different parts of the world, and some of them are not having full access, so they might miss an email, they might not see one email, but the ability. So what is happening, especially in the current scenario? I'll talk about CSI too. But I want to talk about the current scenario and what is happening right now from a marketing perspective, from a reach out perspective, is that you have no ideas who is sitting in front of a laptop or not, and whether they receive your email today or not. Because I mean, people are going through a lot of different times right now. A lot of people are not checking emails. A lot of people are like busy taking care of their loved ones or somebody who's sick or whatever. And the importance right now is that if you don't get a reply, a lot of salespeople and marketing people are going to stop following up within one or two emails because they're like, hey, this person's not interested. But the problem right now, especially in current circumstances, is they just didn't even read your email. They didn't get it. They didn't get the time to read your email, and now it's sitting at the bottom of their inbox. So the cadence piece is becoming more imperative. So because it'll automatically send them a third reach out, it might automatically send them a text message, right? Which is very important in this scenario because a lot of people don't have infrastructure like laptops at home. I can give example of the job that my wife is in, and her organization is struggling to provide all their employees laptops right now so that they can work from home because they were working on secure information. So they used to work on desktops in the office and they were not supposed to. Now they're trying to figure out how to make that happen. So her only access is the phone, and if she gets a text message, it's more, the chances of her responding to that are more than an email right now. So the ability for your Cadence platform to have this multi-channel approach where it's not just sending emails, but like Steven said, postcards or a text message becomes even more important in today's times because a lot of people might not be in front of a laptop or a computer or a desktop. At the same time, Sid, yeah, CSI, yeah, again, same thing with them. I mean, they're following up over 20,000 active, leads at a time. This is the company that does, reg and registration for one of the largest electronic shows in the world, the CES show. They have thousands of exhibitors that they're selling their the lead capture platform to. So they are using now. It is becoming twofold for them because I mean initially it was just reaching out to these people to buy the lead capture because everybody needs a lead capture when they're going to these big shows, and they were struggling to first of all reach out to so many people and then follow up with them. I mean, there are a lot of platforms out there that allow you to send bulk emails, but when you have a team of three salespeople and you have more than 40,000 people monthly to be followed up with, it is just impossible. You can blast emails, you can do everything, but following up becomes impossible. So for them, this was a godsend because they just plugged this in and it automatically followed up for them. It would book appointments. It would actually book orders directly. It would put phone calls on the for it's integrated with calendar scheduling tools like Zoe Calendar or even third-party tools like Calendly. and people can schedule appointments directly. They were primarily using it for that. I mean, they were following up over 20,000 active leads a month. And then right now, again, they're in an industry that is heavily affected with the current world scenario. And their exhibitors who had licensed these platforms from them, these lead capture, they had a lot of questions. Now they're using it to follow up and send them assurances, right? So they're sending this and they're answering questions about what's going to happen if they don't, the show doesn't happen. How do they manage to use the license? So they're using it as a continued conversation over email through multiple platforms, so that they're able to still reach out to these people and keep them as customers. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then, Sid, I guess this is a huge one, right? I mean, right now, more than ever, is the need to have some extra hands out there to produce content, to help you with running day-to-day activities that you were running as a business, apart from engaging with your customers or apart from doing marketing. But like the bulk of your work, the back end of your work, as I call it, like producing content, running your social media marketing channels, and doing blogs, because this is the time when people are spending more time on the screen than ever, right? I mean, if we think about it, people are spending their day in and out on some or the other form of screen these days. Everybody's indoors. They're either on their mobile phone, they're on their laptop, or they're in front of a TV. So content production for organizations is critical in these times, so that they're able to engage these people through really intriguing content. So Sid, how do you see that challenge being faced?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the first things that a CXO or a CEO team does when there is a crisis. Right? When you want your business continuity, the first thing that you need to do is make sure your social media channels are updated, your employees know what's supposed to be done, your customers know, and then you're putting out data. Like you can see from the daily briefing, right? It's in a way content being communicated in different forms. I mean, you've seen the John Hopkins COVID website getting live. You've seen several different universities putting out a tracker. There are different charts showing the propagation levels over time. So what really happens is that for business continuity, I think the content really becomes very key in terms of being able to produce content. That could be charts, that could be video, or that could be a blog entry. And especially in times like these, when your team is either affected or working from home, having a partner to make sure that you'll be able to produce content 24/7, it becomes a platform for continuity. And in fact, that subsequently becomes a platform for transformation, because how often and how well you need to talk to your stakeholders. So getting a content team either in-house or outsourced, some companies have in-house, some have outsourced, is really almost imperative for your success to continue your business.
No, I agree. And I think it's really good for trust management as well. Because I mean, if you're able to put data in front of content in front of your customers as well, your existing customers who want to know what's going on with the, whatever they purchased with you guys, do they still have access to that? A lot of time, if you have regular content updates going out, you might minimize the amount of inquiries that come into your call center, right, Sid? I mean, like if you're updating people in a timely manner, they will not need to call in or send emails, etc. Right? So that
absolutely. Like if you go to any website today, you might see a message of what are we doing about COVID-19, or if your customers are affected, what do you do about it? So you need content management. You need to make sure your website and your digital properties are content managed. I mean, you'll be surprised. A lot of large companies still don't use a very robust content management system, like either Drupal on the open source front, or there's a whole bunch from a commercial ones like Adobe and Episerver, etc. So setting up your content management process, where you're publishing content, moderating content, and publishing content in the first place, and then having a team to produce the content assets. It's in times like these that companies realize that we should have done it better, we should have done it earlier. and this is one of the key seven, of the seven pillars of business continuity. Content factory or having a content team is absolutely, that's why we put it at the third level, absolute key.
So, Sid, very important question. I mean, how do you guys help people with this? What are you offering? Like, what is the offer that we have, or as a company, how can we help our customers who have who probably don't have enough content? They still want to engage their customers. Can they reach out to us? Can we develop content for them? Can we
Yeah,
manage their social media channels?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a bit of a sales plug, so apologies about that. But essentially, with our global, setup, across India, Singapore, UK, and US, we're providing this outsourced content management and production capability. So, there are large companies, right, from the likes of Heinz to education institutes who entirely rely on our team of over 100 people in the content team to actually produce content assets. So, I'll stop at that from a content perspective. But essentially, if they have a choice to make to whether they want the content management to be in-house or outsourced, then we do provide the outsourced option for them.
And I just wanted to chip in there, guys, that, just to add what it said, this content can be in any form or factor. It is blogs where you want people to, author blogs for you across all, major topics or industries, to videos, to really cool social content. So I think this is the time for you to really engage your customers and really take that marketing to the next level, not just through AI bots and through emails, but to produce that engaging content on your social. Because now is more than ever, people are spending hours and hours on Instagram or Twitter and a lot of people are there to see what's going on with COVID, and then they will see your content there. So you have this huge opportunity right now where people are sitting in front of a screen all day long. So if you have a good content partner that can pump out content for you on a daily basis, this is the time you can take your content marketing to a whole new level. So I just wanted to make sure that we talked about that. Now we're switching gears to a whole different side. So we spoke about the customer side of things. We spoke about engagement. We spoke about customer management and customer marketing. But now we're talking about real business continuity, right? I mean, you still need new people. There's industries out there that were never there. Delivery industries. There are people still hiring tons and tons of people, and they just can't. I mean, it's impossible for anybody to meet anybody in person right now, obviously, which is, hopefully people are not doing that. Fingers crossed that people are following the guidelines that different governments across the world have given them. So what is video interviewing, Sid? I mean, a lot of people are confused about video interviewing. They say that, hey, I'll just do it on Skype, right? I mean, why does somebody need a video interviewing platform? And what is AI video interviewing? Can you shed some light
Yeah,
on that?
yeah. I mean, I'll keep this brief. There's a lot to cover in one webinar. We're showing you all seven pillars, but essentially, you know, I think even in times of continuity, uh, things are going to go okay. Whether it's 1 month or 6 months, that is the debate. But things are going to go back, and I think the way customers or the way companies handle their employees right now, or the way they handle their prospective employees, or the way they recruit right now, is going to define their brands for the next decade or so. Now, even though the focus is on continuity, we have to understand that some of the greatest talent is available right now. At least they're available to talk, but you don't have the time to interview, because you are still trying to make sure your customers are in place, and you're able to make sure your cash flow is all right and things like that. And this is the time when an AI platform that can help you augment your database. So while Skype, etc., requires you to be in a one-to-one conversation, which is great, but you don't have the time right now to talk to them. Now, using a platform like Gecko, there are many others. This is not the only platform, but this is one of the globally. It's a very well-respected platform, including it was featured in the BBC. You can actually let your candidates uh, interview at their own pace and let the AI engine rate them, and then keep it ready for you whenever you want to start, recruiting again. And this is the key, because some of the greatest talent are sitting at home. Some of the best talent are passive right now, and they are willing to take a call from a headhunter or from a recruiter. So this, as a recruiting sourcer, as a recruiting professional, or as a CXO, this is a golden opportunity to be ready when this things gets over. And again, using an automation platform helps you get ready for the future, rather than doing a one-to-one Skype, which takes so much time. Because if you're going to interview 10 people, it's going to take you, 10 hours of Skype calling. So this is
Right.
what this is about. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And one thing that I wanted to add here, Sid, is that, one thing that I've noticed is taking this automation to a whole different level is the combination of your Zoe Cadence and Gecko, like any automated reach out tools, because it's not just interviewing people, which is difficult in these circumstances, and but it's also getting in front of these people, letting them, getting hold of these people, and then using the automated email AI follow up tool with Gecko together, I think is the really key to success in this environment, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So okay, so moving on to Cloud Plus Plus. So Sid, what again? We just spoke about infrastructure, and Stephen just mentioned, and I just mentioned real life examples. My wife's going through it. Stephen's clients going through it. People are suffering right now. I mean, there are people who don't have, companies, businesses do not have enough money to spend on new infrastructure right now to purchase, computers or hardware that they never thought they will need and that they probably won't need after 5 months. So how do they go about it, Sid? What is Cloud Plus Plus and how do they go about it?
Yeah. So this is, I mean, as I said, this is the time not to buy another accounting software. This is not the time to buy a new CRM software. And most times of crisis, there are very few companies who are looking at buying a new platform, right? They want continuity. And the first level of continuity, after your physical infrastructure, is your digital infrastructure. I think that's why companies like AWS and Google and Azure will see their patrons increase their business, because the ability to have your servers and your desktop managed under a cloud environment, makes the fact that your network team can manage it. Because as your employees are working from home, the first point of call is the systems team, is the networking team. How do they work at home? How do they make sure they're secure? How do they solve their special VPN challenges? And if a server was inside your own data center, how do they access that? And I think this is, since we're talking about business continuity and the seven spoke model for business continuity, having the ability to put your infrastructure on the cloud, to be able to get it supported 24 by 7, is has been really the way. Like, for example, at Spiders, we moved hundreds of people overnight, right? Overnight, it was like, we made a call that everyone is going remote, and
Right.
within a day, and our team and our network team, they just worked day and night and made sure that every person at home had the same productivity, or at least from a digital standpoint, they had the same environment as they had in office.
Mhm.
And that's only possible if you have a team. Now, if you're a very large business like a JP Morgan or somebody, you could have hundreds of people on your support team in infrastructure. But if you're a medium-sized company, if you're a 500 employee company, for example, or if you're a 1,000 employee company, you're not going to keep hundreds of people in your cloud environment. And even for smaller startups, going cloud native from a development standpoint. So, for example, your check-in server, your configuration manager, your Git servers, whether your Jenkins and your Git server were local or were they in the cloud. So essentially, what we're trying to say is that, while these things were optional sometimes when things were normal, I think in times like these practices have become like gold standard for business continuity.
Brilliant. No, I could not agree more on that. That these are times where the cloud is going to be tested the most, and the better prepared people can be and companies can be if they don't have good, like large support teams or large network teams. I think outsourcing that and figuring out people who can do it for them would be a good thing to do right now. All right.
Absolutely.
So moving on to one of our, key and latest products, and something that has become the need of the hour is virtual trainings and events.
Yeah.
Now, especially in this time, right? I mean, like March, April, May. This is the time when a lot of companies are doing, their sales kickoffs, their, product trainings, new product launches, and everything. What are you seeing, Sid, like with your event clients? Because I know you have a very large event product, E2M Live, and Stephen, I'd ask you the same question as well. Maybe let's start with Stephen on this. Stephen, you've been running the E2M side of business for WS for a while. What are you seeing happening with your clients right now in the event side?
Well, I'm seeing panic mode. I'm seeing panic mode in the sense where, their event space just lost its pulse. They went into cardiac arrest essentially, and they just don't know when as to, when they're going to reschedule the event. They've thought of some other options, some free utilities. They said, well, maybe we can try the WhatsApp thing. I'm like, for 500 people, and and if you do it that way, it's no different than a regular conference call, and what you do on a daily basis. How do you make it to have that conference element, that fun element? How do you engage them as opposed to just looking at a Skype conference call with a bunch of people listening to a session? So at first they were in panic mode, but when I made them aware that we had this option, that we had the blueprint for success during these times, they were a little bit more at ease, knowing that there is an option out there. We don't have to let our events decease. So, I mean, right now, my clients, they're a little bit relieved to know that there's an antidote and to know that there is something to get them through these times, to continue, to keep their jobs, essentially. As an event planner, if you don't have any events, what are you doing for the rest of the year? So they were relieved. To answer your question, they felt relieved that this was the aspirin for the headache that we're currently going through.
Well, so let's talk about OnAir, Sid, a little bit, right? So I know you guys were working on this for a while now. I mean, this technology and making it as seamless for people, even before this whole COVID thing happened. Can you talk us through, OnAir and like some of the key features that you have there, like roundtable and like live broadcast? And how do you the other day I was talking to you. You made a very excellent point about events are a platform of discovery, right? So can you talk our audience today through that, and how your platform with On Air is still providing that experience that they would have had when they were at a live event?
Yes, Varun. So when you go to an event, as most people do, and you will see that you usually have a keynote, and then you have multiple tracks. And in a large event like say South by Southwest or Dreamforce or something similar, you have you could have dozens of tracks at the same time with thousands of sessions every day. In a smaller event, you could still have two or three tracks, right? So as an attendee, you're trying to find the right session and the right knowledge partner. Now, you know what this does is that it gives you the same experience that you go to an event and you can see that there's a keynote happening and you join that broadcast. You can come out to the lounge and then you can decide, okay, I need to go to this track. So visually you see the same arrangement. You see that I'm going to hall A or hall B, and then you can discover. At the same time, let's say during lunch, you can actually join a table and you can either spectate on that table, or if you're invited, you can be speaking in that table. So it can be a closed group of 4 to 6 people, which is similar to the round table that you have during lunch in most of these events. And you join there and you meet people and you chat with them and you see them and you hear them, and it's as close as possible to the real in person, but with a higher degree of randomness, in the sense that the serendipity factor is higher. The ability to make contacts, the ability to learn by chance, the ability to meet new people, uh, as if you were walking and you met somebody next to the coffee table, is actually a lot higher in E2M on air than a physical event. So, and then of course you do all the regular things that you do on an event app, from Q&A standpoint to a social, to having your private social wall,
Right.
to surveys,
I was,
etc.
yeah, I was just going to come to that. Like, so the two key features that I'm seeing, as in to keep the event going. First of all, is the ability for you to have your session still there in live, and people can go from room to room and just see what's going on in that session without having to search for links for that session. Hey, how do I get into this session? How do I, which meeting code or what link was there? So you just go from one room to the other on the app like you would go at a venue, and then you see what's going on in that session. If you like it, you attend it, or you go to a different room. One is that. Two, I know there are events that have smaller, networking areas, and they have smaller topic-based sessions going on, which are like roundtables. So there is still that ability. You can see what are the different roundtables. You can go and network there. You can grab a seat and chat with everybody who's on that roundtable, like you would have when you were grabbing lunch at an event, or when there was a networking break or something like that going on, right? So that takes that level of networking to a whole different level, because you're just going to a table, grabbing a seat. Maybe during a break, you just got a coffee from your Keurig pot, and you want to just see who else is grabbing a coffee right now. So you go grab a seat, and you're on a video chat with four other people who are sitting on that table. So those are elements that are coming in reality through virtuality. But also, one more thing that I wanted to touch upon this, Sid and Stephen, is the ability to take this multi-platform, right? The ability for a person to be sitting in front of a desktop or a laptop, to be able to walk around the house or go to their backyard. Because, I mean, one of the things which is difficult in a virtual event, and please feel free to chip in over here, Sid and Stephen, is the fact you cannot really expect somebody to sit 6 hours a day on a chair and look at a laptop screen, people talking, right? I mean, on a video. You do need to give them the ability to move around and take that
Absolutely.
experience seamlessly to other devices. Stephen, do you want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just to keep event, continuity intact. I mean, it's great you go into sessions and everything, but what about the fun elements? What about the fun elements of going to a conference? Doing games, because a lot of times these conferences, they do some creative things, like they'll have games and prizes and swag, and it's just a lot of fun stuff that's being involved when you're at a physical conference, as opposed to just listening to a speaker over a video. So what I do with my clients is, we strategize. It's like, so how do you want to bring fun into this remote virtual conference? So we do have, robust, gamification utilities that you get inside of the app. Social activities where, I've seen a lot of my clients, they're taking posts, they're taking pictures, just like with Facebook, same type of wall, where they're showing how their home office looks. I mean, it's just really interesting. So it's not the real thing, but it's very close.
That's a great point you made. I mean, I was just on a call with Stephen yesterday and Sid yesterday, and we were just discussing this. And one of the game ideas they came out with, they wanted to encourage people to stay active while they're at home, while they're attending this event. One of the game ideas that came out was like, go to your backyard and shoot some hoops and take a video of you shooting some hoops.
Nice.
Right? And post it to the social wall, and you get points for that.
That's cool.
Right? Or post a video of whatever sport activity or exercise that you're doing at home, whether it's elliptical or a treadmill, or just pushing some push-ups.
That's exactly what conferences is about, Varun. We've gone to tons of it's about, there's a fun element. I mean, like I said, just sitting in front of a computer, listening to a session, 6 sessions back to back, you're going to go crazy, and you can't leave the house. So, I mean, that's awesome.
Exactly. And the ability to curate that experience into an app and then create that community about that event, which would never have happened if you mailed them 20 meeting links in one email, session 1, session 2, session 3. Exactly. And, if they had to do that is impossible. So I think that really takes the cake over here and makes it so much more cooler. Sid, anything you wanted to add before I moved on to the 7th spoke?
No, I think we are good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
All right. So what is this about, Sid? Low code, rapid app development. How do you see this being important in today's scenario where people are not being able to go to the office? They probably are not being able to have the technology teams do some of the stuff that they needed really urgently as organizational needs or as customer needs. So do you want to talk us through this and what this is about?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the final piece in our seven spoke framework, and I know I've said that it's not very important to build new systems, but just turning back to this the current crisis at hand, you would have seen a lot of mini apps that have been done, right, from WhatsApp bots to trackers. As I said, the John Hopkins, the website. You've seen mobile apps to like, for example, in Singapore, they've launched an app for contact tracing for the people who've been affected by COVID. So what it does is that you keep your Bluetooth on the moment you leave home or even at home, and it actually keeps an automatic log of people who've been around you, so that if you develop symptoms, then you can know who are the people that you were within, let's say, a meter or more. And then that helps them in the contact tracing process, because as you know, in this current crisis, there is the contact tracing and testing. Other than stay at home, these are the two things that they're talking about. So they actually developed an app, within a couple of weeks, and rolled it out to a nation of 6 million people, and with all the privacy. So the data remains in your phone, and once you've been asked by the health authorities to disclose the fact that you have symptoms, then with your permission, the all the people that you've been with, because if you go to a mall or if you go out on the street, you don't know who are the people you've been close to. So the fact that in times of crisis you need these, you can say, mini apps or mini websites or mini portals or portlets, and you need them like within a week or within 2 weeks. You don't have the time for a project plan to come in a month. It needs to be done in a few weeks. And there are several low code platforms, right from APN to a UK company called Knowledge Bus, which we are partner with. And so we partner with a whole host of such vendors to be able to code these apps, whether it's on the web or mobile, very quickly, and get it so that your business continues. And this really takes it to a next level where from content you even have the app infrastructure to support your continuity. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. I think it makes a lot of sense that, in these uncertain times, how do you get those important things out there that are needed for your company? I mean, you cannot stop, right? And these are things that are needed for your business, for your customers, for the need of the moment, or something that you were planning to do. I mean, there are people that were planning to launch something for months. They've had a strategy and they were like, okay, we're going to get this started in March, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
suddenly come March, and within a week the whole world changed, and they don't have the developers, or the developers don't have the infrastructure at home that is needed to do this app development. Like, you need, especially for app development, you need some really, really robust infrastructure. Some really specific requirements are there, and I think to be able to still go ahead and do that with a partner,
yeah,
it is priceless.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think we are
So
doing good on time. We are just about coming to
yeah,
the
we've
top
got
of the
about
hour.
7 minutes left, and just a quick take of people who trust us, guys. These are the kind of people we're working with globally, and you know, so we're gonna do a quick recap of the seven spokes that we just spoke about. So I'm just gonna go back to slide number two, slide number three, and just going to do a quick recap of the seven spoke model for digital business continuity, which includes seamless customer support. Make sure your customers still get their questions answered. Use AI. Use automated chatbots as quickly as you can, so that people no matter what time of the day it is. There are a lot of people out there that have a lot of questions, and it will only help build reputation and trust in your organization if you're able to answer those questions for them. So it's a great investment to put a chatbot on there right now. It will also help you with your digital transformation, and it is going to be something that your customers are going to love. Two, keep your business growing, keep that marketing engine running, keep that sales engine running. Use AI based cadence marketing platforms so that you're still able to reach out to people, follow up with them, whether it's about something new that you want to reach out to them about, or whether it's information and just reaching out to them to say that, hey, we care about you. Use multiple channels like email, post, or text messaging so that no matter where they are self isolating right now, they're still able to get the information that you want to send out to them, and you're still able to follow up with them. So use a good cadence marketing platform and make sure it's powered by AI. Make sure you're producing enough content, because people are spending a lot of time in front of screens right now. So make sure you have a good content partner who's able to dish out really good strategic content, because people are spending a lot of time on tools like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc., where they're trying to search for information about Corona or about what's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of curious people out there, and if your content is coming in front of them, this is a great time to put it there. Because while they're doing, one of the things that I feel is that I really wanted to bring about is a lot of people that are on the screen are only seeing COVID, COVID, COVID. And when you see something different, sometimes it's a good break from the monotony that this thing is bringing about on all the different channels that they're looking at, whether it's TV, it's computers. So if you produce some good, happy content that they can look at right now, or some good productive content, have a good content partner that can work out that strategy with you, produce some good, happy content that can give people a break from that monotony that they're getting on the screens with what's going on in the world. Keep recruiting, get some good talent. There's a lot of people who've lost jobs right now. These are a lot of talented people, but it's very difficult for you to meet them. Give them an opportunity to record their videos. Let AI rate those videos for you, so you're not talking to 100 people every day. You're talking to one or two people that AI has video interviewed and given you the best rankings on. And leverage it so that your business continues. You're still able to do the interviews, or you're still able to get the candidates that you needed, and you're still able to keep things moving. Infrastructure issues, if you're not having the strength and the capability to have the infrastructure that you needed, get an infrastructure partner, get a cloud partner that is able to support you on that is able to make sure that your offices and your employees are able to seamlessly perform from remote locations, and get a partner that is able to help you do that. Do not let your events and conferences get wasted. I know this is top event and conferences time and season. So use products that are available, such as OnAir, that allow you to still create that engaging conference environment and help people still learn what they were there going to learn, and help your business grow because of that learning. Do those sales kickoffs, do those trainings, do those conferences. You were doing them because of a reason, and you were spending that money at these venues because of a reason, because you wanted them not to just sit there and learn, but also engage and have fun. So use a platform that allows you to still provide them the same experience. And then don't let your big projects stop, whether it's mobile apps, whether it's digital product projects that you had. Don't let this become a barrier. If you do not have enough technical resources that are able to still work remotely and develop and deliver those projects, look for a partner who's able to do that. Look for a partner who still has the ability to deliver based on the timelines you had, and keep your business going. So that's our 7-spoke model.